Hi everyone, my name is Karen, this is my channel RatherBeReading, and today I'm bringing to you my December wrap-up. So in the month of December I ended up reading a total of 14 books, which is not too bad considering if you saw my December mid-month wrap-up. In the first half of the month I only managed to read 4 things, so I did read 10 things in the second half of the month, and I was definitely in a slumpy kind of period at the start of December, but things definitely picked up in the second half. But as always, we will start off with my monthly reading statistics. So as I said, I read 14 books. That was made up of 9 novels, 1 children's book, 1 short story collection, 1 manga, and 2 graphic novels. Of the 14 items, I read 9 in physical copy, I read 3 audiobooks, and I read 2 ebooks. Discluding the audiobooks as always. Of the remaining 11 items, 4 were items that I owned and 7 were from the library. I read a total of 4,434 pages in the month of December, which averaged out to 143 pages per day, which is not too bad. The longest book I read was 538 pages, and the shortest book I read was 126 pages, which was the children's book. The highest star rating I gave this month, I gave 2 different books a 4.5 stars this month, and the lowest star rating I gave was a 2 star. And my average star rating for the month was 3.63 stars, which is not too bad. So now let's jump straight in, and I will be talking about the 10 books that I read in the second half of December. The first book I want to talk about is Rose Under Fire by Elizabeth Vine. This is the sequel to Codename Verity, which is a book that I read earlier this year and I completely adored. Rose Under Fire I was reading during that period where I didn't have much time to read and I was extremely busy, so it took me quite a long time to get through, and because this is a World War II fiction novel, it is obviously very hard-hitting, and I don't think it was the right book to be reading at that time because I had hardly any time to read. So then when I didn't want to read something that I knew was going to completely emotionally drain me. I did still really, really love this story. I don't think it was as strong as Codename Verity, but it was still really, really good. It is very raw. I didn't feel as connected emotionally to this main character as I did to the main characters in the previous book, but I did still really, really enjoy it. I highly recommend both Codename Verity and Rose Under Fire. In the end, I gave this one 4 stars. Next, I read Lock and Key Volume 6, Alpha and Omega by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. This is the final book in this graphic novel series, well, final volume, and I really, really enjoyed it. I thought this was a great finish to the series. I just really, really enjoyed it overall. In the end, I gave this 4.5 stars. And I highly recommend this graphic novel series. If you are looking for a more adult, darker, kind of horror-ish graphic novel series, then definitely pick up Lock and Key. Next, I read The Headmistress of Rosemere by Sarah E. Ladd. This is the second book in the Whispers on the Moors series. I read the first book in the first half of the month, and I did listen to this on audio. One of my main problems I had with the first book in the series was that I thought it was a little bit preachy, because this is a Christian historical romance series, and as I said in my mid-month wrap, I didn't realize it was a Christian romance series when I picked it up. I say it wasn't as preachy, which I appreciated. However, I also didn't feel as connected to the romance, and I didn't feel like there was as much romance in this as what I would have liked, like in a romance story. Obviously, in the end, I did give this one 2.75 stars, which is the same rating that I gave the first book. The next book I completed was To the Edge of Shadows by Joanne Graham. This is a book that I was actually approved for on NetGalley, so thank you to NetGalley and the publishers. This is again one that I was approved for quite some time ago, and I'm really glad I finally picked this one up. This is a story that follows a main character whose name is Sarah, I believe, and Sarah was in a serious car accident at around the age of 14, I believe, in which her father and her younger sister were both killed. She survived, but she has no memories whatsoever of the car accident or anything preceding the car accident. She goes to live with her aunt, her father's sister, and the novel kind of you get the time period of kind of just after the accident, and then you kind of jump and you're a few years later when Sarah still doesn't remember anything before the accident, and she has developed certain ways of coping. I don't want to put any labels on anything because no real labels are used in the story, but it is quite obsessive things that she has to do. She has a lot of counting. She can't go places that she's never been before. She cannot, you know, things like that. And she's dealing with that. And then we have a second character introduced by the name of Ellie, who is watching Sarah and knows a lot about Sarah and Sarah's life, and is very obsessed with Sarah, and you're kind of getting both of their viewpoints, and it is a very interesting, very complex story. I really, really enjoyed this. I thought Ellie was sinister AF. Like, she was creeping me out. The story was very suspenseful. It has a really good twist in it. Overall, I really, really enjoyed it. I would highly recommend it if you're into kind of suspenseful, psychological type stories in which you don't really know what's going on. Highly recommend. 4.5 stars. The next book I completed was Bad Apples by Emily Rodda. This is the 23rd book in the Teen Power Inc. / Raven Hills Mystery series. Now, this is a bit of an interesting one. This one is narrated by Sunny, who is my favorite of the 6 members of the Teen Power Inc. gang. However, I really didn't like Sunny's narration in this. I don't know if I enjoy Sunny more when I'm reading about her as one of the characters when it's not from her perspective, and I enjoy her less when it's from her perspective, but my favorite book in the entire series is one told from her perspective, so I don't know, but I just really didn't enjoy Sunny in this particular volume, which is really interesting. I didn't enjoy this story overall as much as I have other ones in the series. It is still really enjoyable. In the end, I gave this one 3 stars. The next book I want to talk about is My True Love Gave to Me, edited by Stephanie Perkins. So as I'm sure you all know, this is a series of 12 short stories which Stephanie Perkins put together that all are focused around the holiday period. And I did not plan this, but I coincidentally ended up reading this from Christmas Eve through to like the couple of days just after Christmas, which actually I think was a really good time to read this, and it probably upped my enjoyment level overall of this. I will just go through, I apologize if I'm looking at my phone a little bit. I just want to go through and give you my star ratings on each of the individual stories. So we had Midnights by Rainbow Rowell. This is probably one of my favorite ones. I gave it 4 stars. We had The Lady and the Fox by Kelly Link. I gave this one 3 stars. I liked the romance that happened in this story, but I just didn't really understand a lot of what was going on with some like magical aspects. Angels in the Snow by Matt Della Penna, I gave 3.5 stars. Polaris Is Where You'll Find Me by Jenny Han, I gave 2.75 stars. This one I thought was just underdeveloped and it had a very abrupt ending. It's a Yuletide Miracle, Charlie Brown by Stephanie Perkins, I gave 4 stars. It was another one of my favorites. Then Your Temporary Santa by David Levithan, I gave 2.75 stars. I apologize if I pronounce this one incorrectly. Krampuslof by Holly Black, I gave 2 stars. That was definitely my least favorite. Then we had What the Hell Have You Done, Sophie Roth by Gail Foreman. I gave this one 3.5 stars. I then read Beer, Buckets and Baby Jesus by Myra McIntyre. I gave this one 3 stars. Welcome to Christmas, California by Kirsten White. I gave 4 stars. Star of Bethlehem by Ali Carter, I gave 3.25 stars, and The Girl Who Woke the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, I gave 2.5 stars. That one, I really liked the plot and the writing, but I just didn't feel connected to the story overall. So in the end, I gave this whole volume as a whole 3.25 stars. That's just kind of how the star ratings averaged out. But I definitely, probably my favorite stories were the ones by Rainbow Rowell and Stephanie Perkins, which is really interesting because I've never read anything by either of those authors. I do own a couple of books by Rainbow Rowell, which I now really obviously want to get to. But yeah, I really enjoyed this and I definitely recommend picking it up around the holiday period if you can. And I do really look forward to reading the Summer Days and Summer Nights version as well. Next, I completed Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. This is only the 2nd book I've ever read by Gillian Flynn. I have previously read Gone Girl. This is a story that follows a woman named Libby who, when she was 7 years old, her mother and her 2 sisters were murdered in their family home. Libby testified against her older brother Ben, which saw him go to jail, and he's currently in jail being incarcerated for the murders of his family. There are some quite satanic ritual elements to the murders, and we are now following Libby as an adult, and she is hard up for money, and she gets involved with this group called the Kill Club, who focus on real life murders, and they don't believe that Ben committed the crime, and they want Libby to help them find out what happened, and she needs money, so basically she goes along with it. I did really, really enjoy this. Gillian Flynn knows how to write a really dark, like, mystery. Like, she really does. I didn't enjoy this one quite as much as Gone Girl. I believe I gave Gone Girl 4.5 stars. I gave this 4.25 stars. I did really, really enjoy it. As I said, it's really dark. Gillian Flynn writes really unlikable narrators. I did relate to Libby a little bit more than I have her narrators in Gone Girl, but overall she's not a very likable person. I really enjoyed the mystery. I don't know, I was very torn about how I felt about the ending and the overall kind of resolution of the mystery. There were certain aspects that I really liked, and there were ones that I didn't. But yeah, in the end I gave this 4.25 stars. The next book I finished was Death Note Black Edition Volume 6. Sorry, I should also say Dark Places I completed during the holiday booktubeathon. I do have a vlog which will be going up on this channel. The wrap-up should be going up first, and probably my TBR will go up first, and then I will put up my footage from vlogging the booktubeathon. But I did read the rest of these books that I have to talk about during the holiday booktubeathon. So yes, we have Death Note Black Edition Volume 6 by Sugumi Oba and Takeshi Obata. This is the final bind-up volume in the manga series. I did really enjoy this. I thought it had a really good ending, again, to the series. My one main problem with this volume was that at the end, I did feel like it got a little bit preachy about the writer's beliefs about certain things, and that I just didn't really like. It kind of, I was just like, okay, you know, we get it. But yeah, so that kind of knocked it down a little bit, but I did still really enjoy it. I enjoyed the series as a whole, and in the end I gave this one 4 stars. The next thing that I read was This One Summer by Gillian Tamaki and Mariko Tamaki. This is a graphic novel that follows the main character named Rose, whose family goes to like a summer cottage near the beach, and she has her friend Windy, who is a friend that she always hangs out with like over the summer, and it just follows this one summer. I had heard mixed reviews about this, and I didn't know how I was going to like it. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to. I really appreciated that we were just, I mean, a lot of stuff was really unresolved, but that felt really true to this graphic novel, because you were just seeing these people over kind of one summer, not even one summer, like 3 weeks or something of these people's summer. And while I did have a problem with that when I read the graphic memoir On a Girl by Maggie Thrash, that was because that was dealing with a specific issue in this person's life, and then we never really got any resolution surrounding that issue, whereas this is just like pieces of these people's lives, and I really, really appreciated that. I just really enjoyed this overall. I actually really enjoyed the art. I just really loved it. I mean, if there was a sequel written and we got to find more about what happens with Rose and Windy as they get older, I would definitely read it, but I did enjoy this just as its own standalone graphic novel like story, and in the end I gave this 4 stars. And the final book that I completed in the month of December and in the year of 2016 was Generation by Heather Hildenbrand. This is the final book in the Clone Chronicles. The Clone Chronicles follows a world where some people have clones, and we follow a clone which has been created, and we're just kind of following her life. I don't want to get too into obviously what's happening in this volume, because it is the 3rd volume, and that would involve spoilers for the previous 2 books in the series. I did enjoy this ending. I definitely think the first book in this like trilogy is the strongest of the 3 books, but I did still really enjoy both book 2 and this 3rd volume. I enjoy the romance, and I just enjoy a lot of aspects of it. It was really enjoyable, and I do think it's a series that a lot of people would enjoy. If they enjoy kind of sci-fi type young adult trilogies, then I would recommend looking into this. In the end, I gave this final story 3.5 stars. So those were the books that I read in December. I would love to chat with you guys in the comments down below if you read any of these books, if you have any thoughts or anything that you read in December. How did you guys go with cramming any final books into the year of 2016? I would love to chat with you guys in the comments down below. Please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you want to see more. But that's all I've got for this video today. Bye guys!